Hello viewers, welcome back to another video in the Car Cave, where today we're going to explore an interesting question. What does it cost not to drive your car? Now, for today's video, we're going to reference back to our last video, which was a review of why the Porsche Cayman GT4 is the best sports car on the market. I will leave a little link to it somewhere for you to go ahead and check that video out. Let me know what you think. But with a lot of manufacturers, Porsche included, your maintenance schedule is time or mileage based. So you'll see things like 1 year or 10,000 miles, 2 years or 20,000 miles. It's whichever comes first. So if you bought a car and put no miles on it, but a year would go by, you would have to do a 1 year maintenance on the car. So that got me wondering, and I had a couple talks with friends. How much would it cost if you bought a car, maybe as a collectible item, and decided never to drive it? You'd still have to maintain the car, so what would that really cost you? And then beyond that, what extra would it cost you to actually drive the car? So to do that, I've talked to a couple of dealers and done my own research and put together yet another cheat sheet, very similar to the cost of ownership of a 911. I'll link that video as well if you want to take a look. So I'm going to run through these really quickly. I do a little bit more of an in-depth discussion on the 911 video, so definitely check that out. But I'm going to breeze right through these. So for those of you that don't know, with Porsche, the maintenance is every year or 10,000 miles. And then there are a couple of additional services that you need to do at certain intervals. So I'll go over those. So at your 1 year or 10,000 mile mark, your first service on your GT4 is going to be just your oil change and your multi-point inspection. That's going to run you $695. Now, that seems like a lot, but keep in mind with the GT4, to do an oil change, you have to remove the rear diffuser as well as all of the under tray panels. So it's a bit more intensive than you might think. Second year, 20,000 miles, you've got another oil change, multi-point inspection, and with Porsche, every 2 years is your brake fluid flush, pre-pollen, pollen, and air filter replacement. That's going to run you $1,295. 3 year, 30,000 miles, you got another oil change, multi-point inspection, and your spark plug replacement is recommended at this time. That's going to run you $1,995. 4 year, 40,000 is your major service. It has oil change, multi-point inspection, pre-pollen, pollen air filter. That's going to run you $1,895. So your 5th year kind of resets, goes back to the same as 1 year. Your 6th year is the same as your 2nd year, so on and so forth. So here are a couple of the additional maintenance items. At your 6th year or 60,000 mile mark, you're going to do your drive belt replacement. That's going to run you about $450. And then at 12 years or 120,000 miles, depending on which transmission you choose, you'll either have to do a PDK service or a manual service. The PDK is $1,995 and the manual is $1,195. So $1,995 or $1,195. So those are just some basic costs. So the question is, if you don't drive your car, how much is it going to cost you? And we're going to have to go off of a few assumptions just for consistency's sake. So we're going to assume that you pretty much put no miles on your car. We're going to assume a 12-year term, and we're going to assume that you ordered a PDK. So that being the case, I'm just going to give you the full numbers. After 12 years of not driving your car, you would spend a grand total of $20,535 in maintenance. That's putting no miles on your car. That's going to give you an average cost of $1,711.25. That's an average cost per year to own a Porsche Cayman GT4 and to drive it, not drive it. That's the cost to not drive your car. Now, what if you want to drive your car? What if you're mental? What if you're insane and you buy your cars and you think, you know what, I'm going to put some miles on them? Well, I ran the numbers for you on that as well. So the age-old question of to drive and not to drive, well, we know not to drive is about 20 grand. What about to drive? Well, I'm going to give you the number first and then I'm going to explain it. So you might want to sit down. I'm already sitting down because I already know what this number is going to be. To drive your Porsche Cayman for a grand total of 12 years, And assuming that you put every mile that you possibly can on it based on the maintenance schedule, so after 1 year, you put 10,000 miles. After 5 years, you put 50,000 miles. So at the 12-year mark, and assuming that you have put 120,000 miles on your car, you will have spent $60,135
on maintenance.
That's a grand total of about $5,011.25 per year. That's $39,600 more than if you didn't drive your car, and an average yearly cost of about $3,300 more than letting your car sit under a car cover. So why so expensive? It's pretty much two things: tires and brakes, your wear and tear items. So the Porsche Cayman GT4 comes with Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s. Now, these are super grippy performance tires, and I've talked to a couple of different dealerships, and the average that a customer will bring their car in to replace their tires is between 6,000 and 10,000 miles. So I'm going to give Michelin the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to extend that to 10,000 miles for our assumption. So if you put 10,000 miles a year on your car, you're going to have to replace your tires every year, and that's going to run you $2,200 per set of tires. Your brakes, if you have steel brakes, will run you $4,400 every 4 years or 40,000 miles. So at 12 years or 120, you're looking at having replaced your tires 12 times and your brakes 3 times. So a total cost of $26,400 in tires, $13,200 in brakes. So that number, that difference of $39,600, that's pretty much the cost of driving your car over a 12-year span, which is not that much, honestly. I mean, $3,300 to drive a GT4 every year for 12 years, that's a small price to pay. Now, one other thing I want to throw in there is the issue of brakes. Now, if you buy carbon ceramic brakes on your car, it's an $8,000 option to spec that out, okay? But the idea of the carbon ceramic brakes is you, in theory, never have to replace them. They should survive the life of the car. That's rotors and pads. So if you buy the carbon ceramic brakes, it will set you back $8,000. Over a 12-year span, you will spend $13,200 replacing your steel brakes. So it comes to reason that if you buy carbon ceramic brakes on the car from new, meaning if you spec them out on the car, you will save $5,200 just on brake replacements. So if you look at it that way, the carbon ceramic brakes are the budget option. Now, I say when you spec it out on the car, and there's a reason for that, because I learned something very interesting about the carbon ceramic brakes. It's true that if you spec them out on the car, they will cost you $8,000. That's absolutely correct. You can go on the Porsche configurator and you can see that price there for the GT4. What you can't see on there, and what will knock your socks off, is if you go into the dealer to have carbon ceramics added to your car. Let's say you spec'd out steel brakes, and after your first brake replacement, you're like, you know what, I don't want to ever spend money on brakes again. I'm going to go carbon ceramic. So I'm just going to tell you the number. This is insane. If you wanted to replace your brakes with carbon ceramics, and this is an estimated number, nobody would give me a straight number because nobody has done this, at least not at the dealerships around me. But I put some numbers together based on things that I found online. It would cost $42,187 to put carbon ceramic brakes. So my advice to you, if you don't have carbon ceramic brakes on your GT4, don't buy carbon ceramic brakes. That is a huge amount of money to spend on a brake upgrade. You're better off selling your car and going and finding another GT4 with the carbon ceramics already on it, or just dealing with replacing the brakes. So to answer the question that's in the clickbaity title, the cost to not drive your GT4 is about $20,000. The cost to drive your GT4 is about $60,000. So in my opinion though, if you're spending $100,000 and up on a sports car, drive the car. I mean, what's $40,000 over 12 years? $3,000 a year? I mean, it's a small price to pay, right? You're buying the car to enjoy it. In my opinion, you enjoy the car the most when you drive it. So drive it. And if you are going to drive it, get the carbon ceramics. Save the $5,000. I mean, what better justification do you want? You're paying yourself if you intend on keeping the car for a long time. So anyway, that's all on that. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment below. And as always, we do appreciate your support. We'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and do take care.